a Pantry Studio production.
The following may contain strong language and deals with adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I will be the last to fall. I won't shed a tear for them to see. I won't have your name to call, 'cause I will be the last to fall.
With over 24% of the 1.9 billion square acres in America alone, the mountains that so many people call home are also host to some of the most incredible mysteries in the world. The missing, the murdered, strange creatures, unexplained lights, and sightings of unidentified objects. These stories may be strange, they may be sad, they may be odd, but they are mysterious. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. And now, live from the Pantry Studio, broadcast to all time zones around the world, with listeners of the podcast in the United States, Canada, Germany, Norway, India, the United Kingdom, and more. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. Now, your host, Chris Sloan.
Well, it's a rainy day, isn't it? Rainy night, whatever. So, great excuse to be on your phone or in front of the PC, laptop, whatever. Good evening. Thanks a lot for joining us. I'm Chris Sloan, the host of the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings, the Blurs, and that other thing. Yeah, the podcast. That's it. Pretty big deal, apparently, it's turning into. At least we like to think so. Received an email a couple of days ago from a podcast association saying that we were on our way to ranking in the top 5% globally. So doesn't mean that we're quite where we want to be yet, not by any means, but what it does mean is that we are on our way to getting these names out there, these stories, and these people. Let me address the pink elephant in the room before we go any further tonight with what we are going to be talking about. Candy Green Gonzalez. Yep, finally dropped it. Finally dropped the name from close to home, very close to home. A young lady that's been missing since around the 1st of June. I've had a few different people ask if we are actually going to do something or put out an episode on that, and I cannot imagine why we would not. Oh, my little Mothman up there decided to join us. Great. I don't know a great deal about the case yet. I do have some sources here and there that have provided me with some information. And I can tell you that this thing, oh, by the way, like it said at the beginning, this is not necessarily for kids, but it smells like crap. This thing does. This whole Candy Gonzalez thing, missing. There's a lot of information there. Here's what I do know. She is a human being, female, missing. Last seen wearing like a pink romper, which I didn't even know what that was until recently. But apparently, nonetheless, she's missing and hasn't been found. And there's a lot of other things that go into this. We are going to do gatherings about this. We're also going to do episode on the podcast about this. When, I'm not real sure, because some of these things take time and you've got to be very ginger, so to speak, with these things. And the reason why is this is it's an investigation less than a month old. And I sure don't want to step on any toes that could lead to finding this lady, or if there is some kind of foul play, getting justice for the people, for the family. And I just don't want to step on any of those toes, but it doesn't mean that we're not looking and kind of putting out feelers and asking around. And we've been approached by 2 or 3 different people asking if we were going to do that. Seems like we're beginning to develop that reputation, and that's a good thing. That's what I wanted is that reputation. Somebody that would come by and say, "Hey, there any way that you guys could look into this?" Uh, yeah, absolutely, there is, and that's what we are going to do. So in the chat, hi to Amanda and Sharon is watching. I'm trying to pull up multiple sources on here. So, if you're in the chat room, you want to say, hey, I'd appreciate it. Um, I'm kind of solo on this one tonight because I feel I needed to be. Not really on top of my game, not that I ever am, but most of you who are friends with me on Facebook know that today would have been my dad's birthday. He would have been about 76 today. Tomorrow would have made their 55th wedding anniversary. And of course, they're both gone. When I tell you, I got an inkling of what you're going through. I do. Birthdays are hell for those who have gone on. Anniversaries, when you lose a spouse, a loved one, or your mom and dad, their anniversary tomorrow would have made them 55 years. It's hell when you go through that. The other side of this is I kind of choose to look at it like this is their 55th anniversary. They're together. I had 47 great years with them. I know, and I have a lot of friends that aren't that fortunate. They lost either their mom or their dad long before that. They've been dealing with this long before I have. So I kind of count it as a blessing. Like I said once when I was speaking at my mom's memorial, somebody asked me, it's okay to be mad at God, or you must be mad at God. No, can't say that I am. As far as I'm concerned, he's blessed me beyond anything I ever deserved. I had 2 great parents for 47 years. Great parents. So happy birthday, Dad. I love you. And tomorrow it's a happy anniversary. And of course, I pray. Hey, Tony, it's good to see you. Amanda, thanks for watching Cora. I know Sharon's in, some of I don't know, some of the chat shows up, some of it don't. This thing's a little hinky. They're doing redesigns to it and stuff, which I think is absolutely great. So yeah, there's some exciting things happening with the Mountain Mysteries podcast. The Gathering seems to be growing a little bit too, which is what you're watching right now. This whole Gatherings thing was nothing more than to promote the podcast, and I was going to do 1 or 2 of them. One day Sharon calls me, April's mom. Extended family. Love her, by the way. Says, April wants you to do these things all the time. I believe when Sharon says she and April communicates. I've heard it. April's talked to me through this device that 606 Paranormal has called the Portal. And she talked to me through Sharon's phone on this device that Sharon has. Again, I'm not recommending anybody without experience get those things. It's a bad idea. Let people who are experienced with this and know how to protect you and themselves use those things. That's a disclaimer. It's your life, but I can tell you if you need to get a hold of 606 Paranormal for anything, give me a call, message me. I can get a hold of Stacy, or you can directly. Tonight's episode has been has been something that has been on people's tongues for 7, going on 8 years, I guess. Going on 7 years. 2021, 15. Yeah, I guess 6 or 7 years. And this is one that is, man, it's a cracker. I'm telling you. And we got the episode on it coming up this evening, and that is going to be, you can listen to it in the morning. It'll drop sometime around 12 o'clock or so tonight. I'm sorry, I'm actually responding to somebody right now that is asking if we can do on Candy Gonzalez. Yeah. That's not a text, it's a message. So anyways, yes, I hope that they're watching this. If not, then maybe I can put them onto it. But Crystal Rogers she went disappeared. Sorry, she went missing. Like I said, I'm not on my game tonight. That was on July 3rd, 2015. So we're coming up on the anniversary of that pretty quick. Now, she was 35 years old, had 5 kids. Beautiful kids. She was living with a guy at the time named Brooks Houck. For those of you on Patreon, you've already heard this episode, and that was the first time and probably the last time I'm actually gonna freestyle one, just like I'm doing right now, just talking about the facts that I knew or that we've uncovered. He did not report this disappearance immediately to authorities, which was Bardstown PD. She's one of what I call the Bardstown Five. 4 people murdered, 1 person missing, and that missing person is Crystal Rogers, now 2015 to 2021. Come on, Chris. You know what? Yeah, I know. But until the authorities, until a medical examiner slash coroner, whoever, finds the remains and says she's dead, let's keep hope alive. I don't necessarily know that that's the best idea, but for her mother, Sherry, maybe it is. And I hope she is. But you know, yeah, I'm kind of grinding my teeth. I know. I just got that feeling. So this Brooks Hout fellow who was with her doesn't report her. It's her mother that reports her missing at first, Sherry Ballard. Goes to the police. It was either that evening or the very next morning and says, "Look, my daughter's missing." And police were like, "Well, okay, what's going on?" She tells them instantly. I mean, without hesitation, she voices her suspicion with Houck. This keeps getting deeper and deeper, and we're going to dig the hole a little bit deeper and deeper as the evidence allows us. So anyway, she says, "Look, I know that they had something to do with this." Whoa, whoa, whoa. They? Who's they? You said he. Oh, they. Now, who's they? Well, him and his brother. Bardstown cop. Oh, cop? Like Jason Ellis was a cop? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That was his brother. Okay. Well, who else could you go to hide evidence or a body that would be any more perfect? And I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying looks suspicious, especially after his brother was let go of the force for allegedly interfering with an investigation concerning her disappearance. Hmm. This thing keeps getting deeper. So many people believe and think that these 4 deaths and missing persons case are interwoven, they're connected. Some people scream, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theorist." Some people don't. Some people say, "Well, yeah, it probably is." Well, let's see, you had Jason Ellis murdered in 2013. He was a police officer. Exit 34, the ramp off the Bluegrass Parkway, removing some tree limbs, bush, whatever. Somebody shoots him. The next year, you got a mother and daughter, Kathy and Samantha Netherland. That's in 2014. Then 15, Crystal goes missing. And then in 16, her dad, Tommy Ballard, who we are going to talk about next week. And that episode will actually drop on, what is today? Friday or Thursday. That episode on Tommy Ballard will actually drop a week from tomorrow. Crystal's is tonight. Her dad's is on the 9th. We let you go back and listen to these, binge listen on this for a bit if you want to, and you tell me if you think they're connected. A lot of people do. Tony in chat says, I still say they are related. After doing as much research as I could and what I did find, it's something I'm not willing to rule out. And neither will the Kentucky State Police. Now, Nelson County Sheriff's Office handled that investigation for a while. Then, for whatever reason, the Federal Bureau of Investigation stepped into it. Yeah, the feds, the FBI. And they have about concluded with their investigation on this. What they found, I don't know. They're being super tight-lipped about it. You're going to hear some of this stuff on the podcast, which drops. You'll be able to listen to it tomorrow. You'll hear some of Sherry talking about what this has done to her family, what this means to her family. And I can't help but sit and think to myself, the hell that woman has been put through. She loses her daughter 1 year, can't find her, don't know what happened to her. That's bad enough. Then the next year, oh, she knows what happened to her husband. He got shot in the very field on property that he and his family owned in front of his grandson, who was 11 or 12 at the time. Traumatized the kid. Hell yeah, traumatized the kid. Somebody said, well, the child was traumatized. What the hell? That's like saying a piss ant crawls on a popsicle stick. Of course. Yeah, he was traumatized. He saw it happen. Rifle shot right through the chest. Exited the back, according to the coroner. In any murder, there's almost always three things. Motive, means, and opportunity. Well, means and opportunity, that's pretty simple. Means was the rifle. Opportunity was law enforcement thinks that he was hiding in a tree line along the Bluegrass Parkway, which is adjacent to the field. But what about motive? Well, for Tommy Ballard, I happen to believe personally in my own case that the motive was the fact that he was getting too close to finding out what had happened to his daughter, Crystal. People knew it. I mean, that stench of fact and truth was real. He was getting close. Too close. What happens when you get too close to something that some people who have already probably committed one murder, maybe more, you're a number. After the first one, it's easy. At least that's what friends of mine that are police have always said. That are, detectives and things like this. After somebody commits the first one, it's just numbers. Jason Ellis, Crystal Rogers, Kathy and Samantha Netherland, Tommy Ballard. They're more than numbers. They're people. To anybody that doesn't have a homicidal streak in them. Some people will do absolutely anything instead of owning what they've done. That has always been a fact. That will always be a fact. There are people out there that would sell their mothers to avoid spending so much as a night in jail. And that is absolutely true. Then there are some who will come forth and they'll look straight at a lieutenant detective and say, yes, by God, I killed him. And here's why. People don't get, I don't think some people don't get the way the police work. And I'm not saying I'm an expert. I've never been a cop. The police's job is just that, to police. Let's say someone goes out and commits a murder. It's their job to get that person, man or woman. Then they bring them in before a judge and a jury of their peers. Now, what happens after that? It's out of the cop's hands. Maybe they'll put you up on a podium and give you a silver star. Maybe they'll take you out back of an alley and end your life. Or maybe you'll spend the rest of your life in a 6x9 cell. Or maybe they'll bury you under the damn prison. Cops don't really, I'm not going to say they don't care, but after that particular point, after they've brought the accused forward, doesn't really matter. But people do not want to go in front of 12 other people and defend themselves and say, I didn't do this. I was at the Awful House until 3 o'clock in the morning. Waffle House. But I was at the Waffle House till 3 o'clock in the morning. I was doing this with these people. They can vouch for me. If that all checks out, okay, they move on to the next person. It's what they decide to do. That's the way the criminal justice system in America currently works. But I can tell you this, Sherry has a lot of hope in her now since the FBI have come in and taken over. And honestly, I'm not trying to put people on a pedestal, but the FBI, these guys are about as good as they get anywhere in the world. Well, I say guys, but I mean men and women. These special agents are sharp. People can say what they want to and knock them, but let the FBI come knocking on your door and watch what happens. You're going to get antsy real quick. The FBI has a tendency to endow themselves in recipes. Yeah, they like to make somebody's ass pucker up until it's sucking buttermilk, until they figure out exactly what's going on and if you had anything to do with it. That's what they are good at. For that matter, same thing can be said for a lot of our state police, Kentucky state police anyway, and a lot of our law enforcement agencies, but the feds are like, they wrote the book on this stuff. So when they come into this little community of around 11 or 12,000 people, Bardstown, which is a beautiful place, I've been there. Thing about Bardstown is it is a relatively small community, about an hour and a quarter south of Louisville. And what happens in every small community? Oh my God, do people talk. I cannot stand a crap slinger and a gossip packer. Those are right up there with, uh, seriously, it makes my freaking stomach turn just thinking about it. Don't like somebody packing tails. Somebody comes to me with that shit, I shut them down right now. Say, keep it away from me. And to quote the immortal Joe Kenda, if you're looking for sympathy, look in the dictionary. It's between shit and syphilis. I don't care about somebody packing tails. I do care about what we know to be fact, because at the end, I can sit here all day and say, well, Joe Black killed Crystal Rogers. Okay, great. What's your proof? Have you found the body? That's something else. The FBI has said that they do not need a body to proceed with prosecution. They're at the end of their investigatory process. I have heard so many people tell me and ask me, it's been since 2015. They've named Brooks Houck as a suspect way back when, or so and this and that. Why haven't they made an arrest? That's an easy one. In America, there's a thing called double jeopardy. You try somebody for murder one time and they get out of it, they can't be tried a second time for it. Not the same individual. Maybe they'd get somebody on something else. Well, look at Capone. They got Capone on tax evasion. They didn't get him on all the murders and whatever else he done bootleg. I don't know. Back in the 30s, bootlegging was a big deal. Now it's shit. You don't need to bootleg. Just go in and get it. But back then it was a big deal because there was a thing called prohibition. But anyways, they do not want to bring this guy before a judge and a jury until they are certain that they have got this thing locked down tight. So is it over yet? Been 6 years. Surely it's over. Hell no, it ain't over. The fat guy's not even warming up to sing. Well, maybe he is right now. I don't know. But like I said, they've been very tight-lipped about this. And I certainly understand why. I have no doubt about why, because they want to make sure that whatever that they bring out there is going to stick. I'm checking my messages elsewhere. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. This thing is like feeding itself back. Let me shut that down. Okay. I'm being told I need to get involved with somebody else's case. If the family approaches me, I will. I have no problem with that. So, anyways, we go back to who was Crystal, 35-year-old mother of 5. Brooks has said the last time he saw her was July 3rd. It was late at night. He was going to bed. She was up playing games on her phone. Is that believable? Absolutely. Of course, it's believable. It's what happens next. She goes missing for a few days, and right off the bat, her mom, Sherry, and dad, Tommy Ballard, say that this is not like her. And he comes back and says, "Well, she's done this before. She stays out late with friends and comes home and whatnot." And they're, no, she doesn't. Sherry looks him in the face. Talking to Brooks, Brooke, and looks him in the face and says, "I'm taking this to the police. I need to report her missing." And he says, "Well, that's what you need to do." So, anyways, they do. This guy, of course, who do you start with in a criminal investigation? The people closest to the victim. Spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, family members, you get it. Those people have to be eliminated first. That's why I've always told my daughter, don't expect my life insurance if you take me out, because they're going to look at you first and then they're going to pass you around the jail cell like a peace pipe, and I won't be there to do anything about it. So I think that that's off the list for her. Had to have a bit of humor injected into this stuff because this is like, it's pretty serious and pretty deep. So this mother of 5 goes missing. Nobody's know where she at, where she's gone to, who's done what with her. Her mother goes to the police, Sherry. They, Nelson County Sheriff's Office, they get this investigation going, this active investigation, and they question him. Well, in the middle of this, his brother comes in and says, "Look, you need to be really careful about this. They're going to try to trip you up, get you to incriminate yourself. And when that happens, it's all over with." Well, of course, at that particular point, he quits talking. And that is why he got dismissed from Bardstown PD, Houck's brother, because they said he interfered with a criminal investigation. Now, according to the state police, one of the state police theories, apparently somebody else was messing around with Crystal in a sexual manner, having an affair. The detective called it cracking Crystal. And whatever works, you elicit a response, whatever works, works. So this happens, and apparently it doesn't get much of a response out of him. He said, "Look, I understand." He said, you probably got hot tempered, you lost your cool, things happened. You may have wanted to show her, look, I don't deal with this. I'm not going to deal with this. Next thing you know, she gets dead. Of course, he denied that. Now, to dig the rabbit hole a little deeper, and let's take a turn at the left here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to bring in Brooks Houck's grandmother. At the time, she was 82, 83, had a white Buick, and the police allege or think or suspect that they used that Buick to transport the body. They put her on, they were talking to her. I'm going to say put her on a stand. That's not the case. But they were talking to her, and several times she evoked her Fifth Amendment right. She wouldn't tell them nothing. Fifth Amendment right says I refuse to answer on the grounds that it may incriminate myself, or that it may incriminate me, or whatever. Anyways, well, that was okay. Well, that's kind of odd. And this thing keeps on going. Then somebody's going around town in Bardstown taking down these pictures that the family of Crystal had put up. A reward of, I think it was over $20,000 at one point, and probably more than that now. But somebody was taking down pictures. And come to find out, there was a person arrested for that, and it was Brooks' current girlfriend. So we're told. Okay. And then somebody unknown came back and put up posters directly saying Brooks did this, that Brooks Houck did this. This thing is a hot mess. And it keeps going and going and going. But I think it was in 2000, don't hold me to this, 17, 19. It could have been as soon as 2019 or 20. The FBI raided the Houck farm and several other places. And all they would say is, we got a lot of useful information. These guys confiscated everything from computers to papers to farm equipment. I mean, there was nothing sacred, because they meant to find out, and they mean to find out what happened. I see why she's got some hope. There's this and a whole lot more that's going to be going on in that episode, which, by the way, drops tonight. It's on Apple, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Is where you can find the Mountain Mysteries. Then next week, of course, we take a look at Tommy Ballard. God, that's a heartbreaking one. You've heard me talk about this before, doing these episodes on people, even though I have never met any one of those people. They're people. They all have a story. Just like you out there watching, every single one of you right now watching this, whether it's you're watching me do this live or you watch it and it's already been done live and it's over and it's recorded and playing back on YouTube, Facebook, whatever them other things are, and Arrow is setting up more of them all the time. But what every one of these people have a story. You guys have a story. And maybe you think, well, my story is boring as fill in the blank. No, it's not. Your story's not boring. Your story may have slow points to it, but it always leads to something, I promise you. If somebody told me 10 years I'd be sitting here in front of a camera or behind a microphone doing this, I would have laughed my ass off at you. And then one day, poof, there it is. I can hear Sharon now in my ear going, my, aren't you the surprising one? Yeah, I guess so. But I love doing this. Arrow, our tech consultant, and the guy responsible for the fact that you can see me right now and watch this with the chats and all that showing up on here. He is now doing research too. He loves that stuff. I hate it. I like talking to people. I like interviewing people. I like putting things together. That's what I do. I like doing these things here, talking to you guys. That's what I do. The rest of it I was doing because somebody had to do it. Then along comes Arrow. God has his hands in all over this. I know he does. I'm not smart enough to get this kind of thing done by myself. So he sends me people that are smarter than I am. Fact of the matter is that we don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. And that's what I'm doing. Tommy, a granddad, Crystal's dad. He was a dad. He was a husband. He was had a construction business. He was a good man. Everybody I found that I spoke with, be it by Facebook Messenger, chat on a cell phone, or even a few phone calls, good guy. He was a good man. What do you think happened to him? Not a damn one of them said he was accidentally shot. They all said the same thing. Oh, he was murdered. He was getting too close to finding his daughter, finding out what happened to her. Well, who do you think did that? I cannot repeat what they said. So I'm not going to, because I don't want to interfere with that active investigation, but I can tell you it's exactly who you think it was. Now there was one guy that said he thought that it could have been gang related, and I said, well, what the heck? Because there was apparently a gang, or is a gang in Bardstown called BMG, Bardstown Money Gang, I think. Some people pointed the finger at them when Jason Ellis got shot, and also at them when Samantha and Kathy Netherland got killed. They thought it might have been a gang initiation from these guys. But I asked them, I said, what the hell would BMG have to do with this guy? What the hell would they have to do with Tommy Ballard? I said, well, gangs will do just about anything for money, including murder. $500 comes back a long way. That's the value of somebody's life in some cases. Yeah, I guess you're right. It is for some people. Hell, some people would smack the Pope for a Klondike bar, let alone to see what they do for $500 or $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever. What would you do to keep from going to prison? I can't help but ask myself these questions when I run across cases or episodes like this. What would you do? Well, for one thing, I wouldn't commit murder anyway. That's just not how I'm wired. Yeah, I've thought about it a few times. Even contemplated it once or twice, but I never did it. I didn't want to go to jail and be passed around like a peace pipe. But I can't help but think, because I've always been told by a real good friend of mine who's been involved in law enforcement for, honestly, the guy should have retired years ago. But he keeps putting on that badge or strapping it on his belt. It's one of those things where I know as well as you do, every time you put that badge on, you're putting a target on your body that says, right here. Especially in today's times. That's why I have such a huge respect for cops, because all the ones that I know personally are great people. They're great guys and gals. But anyways, this guy told me, he said, in order to catch one of these assholes, you got to think like one of these assholes. And he said, these assholes don't think like you and I. He said, they think a little bit differently. He said, they think that human life, depending upon who it is and their social class and status and political connections, well, it could go up and down in price. It could be as little as 500, as much as 50,000. You know, I can put a price on my Harley. I can put a price on my car. I can put a price on anything that I own that's materialistic, but I cannot put a price on a person. Because I'm one of them crazy bastards that think that all lives matter. Every one of them. God, I'm old school in that, aren't I? But anyways, he said, in order to catch these guys, you got to think like them. I guess that's why I'm glad I've never been a cop, because I just don't know that I could do that. But if money is your end game, your be all, if that's the key to your happiness, then I suppose that you probably would take a life for X number of dollars. Even right off the bat, the Kentucky State Police, when they got to the scene, said this wasn't an accident, this was murder. Somebody said that one, and it wasn't a KSP, but somebody said, well, they didn't kill the kid, so, or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't that. The kid didn't do it, we don't think. Wow, Gomer, that was brilliant. His grandson didn't kill him. You don't say. Wow, thanks. Just like I am not meant to be a mechanic, obviously. I am not meant to be a construction worker or a carpenter, because I have no idea how to level anything. Hell, I can't even level my haircuts half the time. Some people have no business being in law enforcement. Thank God, though, we do have people that are meant to do that, that are good at it, that know, that can look at somebody and say, oh my, you are the son of a bitch I'm looking for, aren't you? Mm-hmm. And you've got people that are just meant for that. And thankfully, we have got them, both in the state police, local police, at least around here. We've got guys that are meant to do that, and ladies too. And we've also got people that are in the federal level that are damn good at their job. So I'm really curious to see how this is all going to play out, because here's the kicker. If these are connected, if these are all tied up in a nice, pretty little bow, well, what happens when you pull the string on one end of a bow? Whole damn thing comes unraveled, don't it? So we find out who did this to Crystal. Maybe, just maybe, we'll find out who did that to Tommy. And who did what to Jason Ellis. And possibly, just possibly, we'll find out who killed Kathy and Samantha Netherland. Again, a little bit of a background story on Kathy. If you missed last week, she was a special education teacher at an elementary school in Bardstown. Samantha was a high school student getting ready to go to her prom. They buried her in her prom dress because her family felt that she should wear that beautiful prom dress that she had picked out at least one time. Now, you tell me that life is not more valuable than money. Oh, by the way, I'm going to put a post on Facebook, and it's like, if y'all want to receive financial blessings next week, go to work this week or something like that, or earn it this week. But don't kill anybody for it. Nobody I know would do that. I cannot imagine that. But there are people out there. Like I said, they'd smack the Pope for a Klondike bar. God knows what they'd do for $500, or let alone 5,000. It's hard to say, right? It is absolutely something. The way that some people think, or rather the way that some people don't think. I want to show you something. No, it's not that kind of video. Sorry, I had to bring a little bit of a laugh in on this. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm going to shut this off and bring this right on. And somebody took that away. Now, one of the theories like I told you, one of the state police theories was she had had some kind of an affair with somebody or something like that. I don't know. I can't say to that. But what makes a lot more sense to me, and maybe this is just me grasping at straws, is maybe, just maybe, she heard something she shouldn't have heard. Let's theorize for a minute. Let's say that the Houck boys had something to do with the killing of Officer Jason Ellis, and maybe even something somehow distantly related or more closely related to the killing of Kathy and Samantha Netherland. Let's just say. And maybe Crystal was in a room one night and overheard them talking about something. Well, that makes her a witness. And you know what they say about curiosity? We know what it did to the cat. To me, it's a plausible theory, and that's exactly what Sherry thinks happened. And when I read that and spoke with her ever so briefly, it was like, I said, yeah, that makes sense. But the other side of this, and because I've never really been cleared on this, or I've never had it clarified, when exactly did Crystal and Brooks get together? Because Jason was killed in 2013. The Netherland ladies, mom and daughter, Kathy and Samantha, were killed in 2014. Crystal goes missing in 2015. So, did her and Brooks get together post or pre 2013? I mean, was it before or after Jason? Before or after Kathy and Samantha? I'm not sure. And I'm sorry that I let you down like that because it's the most basic question I should have thought to ask, and I just didn't. I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a possibility. I can find out though, and definitely update you with that. Matter of fact, I'd like to find out to update myself with it. So, what happened to her? Recently, they found remains in Nelson County. Said that they thought that there was a female, and it was like like a 50-year range. It was like between 20 and 70 years of age or something like that. Turns out, though, because everybody was thinking, okay, they have found Crystal Rogers. Turns out that it was not Crystal Rogers. So who was it? Turns out that Tommy Ballard, Crystal's dad, was no stranger to murder or tragedy knocking on his door. Back in the late 70s, his sister went missing. They found her short time later, her and her unborn child, out in the woods, scantily buried. Her car was in the river. I think it was the Ohio River. And her husband and some other guy did time for that one, still doing time. They'll never they'll never breathe free air again, so I'm told. So that was Tommy's sister. Now this happens to his daughter. Sherry loses her daughter, don't know where she's at, what's going on with her, probably under the assumption that she's no longer alive. And then after that, it was a year and it was 17 months later, right before Thanksgiving, that Tommy takes a shot to the chest on his own land, going hunting with his grandson. My guess is he's probably trying to get out and clear his mind a little bit. For some people, riding motorcycles does that. For some people, going hunting or fishing does that. All of those things can be, can lighten your mind a little bit. When you're doing something that you love, you focus on that and you're not focused on all the bad shit in the world. There's plenty of that to focus on. I'd much rather try to focus on the good stuff. I really would. So the episode concerning Tommy is already done. I wrapped it up last night before last. And man, I mean, honestly, I thought it turned out pretty well, or I wouldn't be releasing it. It'll be available this Tuesday for Patreon members. And if you are a Patreon subscriber, mine is too, Sharon. April's mom said that her heart's breaking for the families of these men, women, and children. Mine is too. I'm gonna start getting freaking emotional. I need to quit. All right. I get upset with this stuff. I still don't get how anybody thinks they got the right to take the life of another human being. I just don't get it. Anyways, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you'll be able to hear this as early as Tuesday, every Tuesday. And I think maybe it was not before last that I finished it. But anyways, after that was done, I went on and recorded a video to put on strictly for our Patreon. And it's a no holds barred. It even says not for kids. I'm telling you, because there's a few times I drop F-bombs, I drop this and that, because I just get downright upset, and I do apologize for it. But most of my listening audience, or most of the people that listen to the Mountain Mysteries, they get it. And some of them even said, we don't necessarily listen for that, but we get it. We understand it. Because I'm not somebody that wants to get on there, because I want you to have your kids in the back seat of the car listening to the podcast. And rarely, if ever, unless I'm actually quoting a direct quote from somebody, do I say something like that. Because I can find other ways to get that around there. Hey to Joseph from the Salyersville area in chat. And Stacy, I love you. It's my calling. I hope so. I hope, at the very least, I want people to enjoy listening to it. And I guess the most I could hope for is for somebody to walk up to me and give me a hug and say, thank you for what you and your team does. You made a difference in our lives. Well, I don't know that I could do any more than that. That's a blessing in and of itself from God. It's like my mother, rest her soul, used to say, what you've got is a gift from God. What you do with it is a gift back to him. Yeah. And again, don't judge me and don't make fun of me. It's my Avengers cup. Yes, Captain America. Iron Man is, yes, there's Iron Man right there by my, yeah, okay. I can't help it. I love that. I would love nothing more than to see the killers of April Pennington and Tim Stambo, Dwayne Lovelace, Crystal Rogers, Jason Ellis, Kathy and Samantha Netherland, and Tommy Ballard put in front of a jury of their peers and be there when the foreperson comes down and says, as to the charge, count one, murder in the first degree, whatever, guilty. And I want it to ring out and echo all over the damn state and states. You are going to be thrown under a prison. They're going to pass you around like a peace pipe. And when they're done with you, you'll never see the light of free sunshine or breathe free air again. One guy told me once, he said, sometimes you kind of sound like Paul Harvey. That's not my intent. Sometimes I have to stop to calm myself down and think about my next statement. Sometimes I have to check myself before I wreck myself because I do not want to do anything to. About time for another haircut, don't you guys think? I do not want to do anything to hinder an investigation. And like I said, yes, I've got friends that are police. But when I tell them, yeah, you can let me know what's going on, give me an insight. Well, I don't want you to have it all over that damn podcast or on that video thing. You don't want it on the Mountain Mysteries or the Gatherings. I get it. Then I won't do it because all they got to do is say, well, I'd rather you not yet. That's all I need to hear because it's more important to me for the families to get justice than to me to break a damn story. I don't care about breaking a story. What I care about is somebody getting some sense of resolution. And even then, I don't know. Resolution's like closing, or yeah, it's like what was the word that we look for all the time? Sharon, help me out here. Um, Closure. Thank you. Sometimes that's not closure. You don't get closure until you're with them again. But to have the satisfaction of mind of knowing that they're in a cell that's probably not much bigger than this studio I'm in right now, and it's not that big, trust me. Well, maybe that can bring a little bit of peace to you. Acknowledging James Paul Prim from Paris, Kentucky. Buddy, it was great meeting you at April celebration, and I hope you're doing well. And thank you for being here. Every Thursday night at 8 o'clock, we get together with this and spread the word. No, these things aren't scripted. It's just me running my mouth, talking about the future episodes coming up. And like I said, Patreon subscribers get it early. You can get these things early for as little as a $3 a month commitment for, I don't know, whatever you can do. It's fine. Of course, the more you go, the more you get, including some of our t-shirts. By the way, the mountainmysteriespodcast.com, tons of stuff. Several people in here, and I wanted to ask everybody if they would. That's got anything from us. Take selfies of you and anyone else. I know some family members out there have bought up some stuff. Put them on, take selfies because we'd like to include that in the opening videos. I really would. It would be an honor for me to show you guys off and see, I want to show the world these are great people. These are people that support these other people who cannot support themselves anymore. These are people who support the families that are continuing this fight. And as I do on every episode, I want to address each of you individually. It's a tough world out there. We know this. If you're a younger person, you're about to find that out, especially if you're just now getting out on your own. And we have people that are doing that right now. I know I've talked to them. Don't ever let anybody tell you you're not good enough. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want. I was told once. Actually, let me rephrase it. I wasn't told. I overheard a teacher once saying I would never make it to the age of 20 without becoming a burden on society. That did not happen. That did not happen. I've been privileged. I've been on the number one radio station for 10 years in Eastern Kentucky, ranked number one for several years. That was a privilege and a blessing. Been on radio stations all over the place. Hell, even got to sit in on a couple of gigs with Rick Dees. How many people get to say that? That's awesome. Got to hang out with Eddie Money. Got to do all these different things while making a pretty decent living doing it. I wish that person had known then. But it's okay. I wish them nothing but the best today. I hope they're doing well. But don't ever let anybody tell you you're not good enough. And don't ever let anybody interrupt you by telling you can't do something when you're actually doing it. You are enough. Good enough looks at you and says, I wish I was there. You pray like everything counts on God. And you work like everything counts on you. And never lose faith. Don't look at the bumps in the road or the obstacles as, okay, this will never work. I need to lay down. I need to quit. Bullshit. Don't look at it like that. Look at it as, okay, what do I need to learn from this? What do I need to take from this? How can this make me better? It's okay to get knocked down. Hell, I've been knocked down dozens of times. And it ain't about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up and you just do this. Come on. And one day you'll find yourself where you want to be. To answer Mr. Boggs, Joseph Boggs, are you on Google Podcast? Yes, we are, Joe. Sure are. You can find us on Google Podcast. It's under The Mountain Mysteries. And I'd love it if you checked us out on there. We are there. We're also on Apple and Spotify and Stitcher and Audible, and it list goes on and on. And also themountainmysteries.com. You can listen to us on there. But yeah, check us out on Google Podcast. Absolutely, we are there. You know, at this age, now 50, when I encounter something that stands in my way, used to be I just try to knock it over, just try to run it straight over, didn't care. Well, sometimes that resulted in me getting knocked on my ass, and as does happen. Like my dad said, it's okay to take a break, just don't quit. Learned so much from them. So I get back up, dust myself off, and go back at it. Now at this age, I look at those moments as, okay, what do I need to learn from this? Well, that attitude serves me well. It's all about attitude. I know people with 6-year college degrees that are struggling just to find work. I don't have that. What I do have is a lot of faith in God and Christ. Have a lot of faith that they will lead me where I need to go. So when I feel it on my heart to do something like this, and then I meet somebody like Sharon, somebody I've known for years like Stacy, and all this starts to come together, well, that ain't nothing more to me than acknowledgement that my faith was justified. Because I've got people in my life now that I love dearly. I always have had. But now I've got even more. Don't ever give up. Don't ever let nobody tell you you're not good enough. You are. You're above good enough. So far above it. You can do it. One final thought tonight concerning that line in I'm going to guess around 1915, 16. Henry Ford, y'all heard that name? Loved this saying he had. He said, whether you think you can or cannot, you're right. Good point. Once again, let me throw that up here one more time for you as we close out. Yes, right here. Swap. There you go. TheMountainMysteriesPodcast.com. Actually been contacted by the people that host our website too, wanting to work with us on doing some things. Apparently, my daughter, as she likes to call herself, my Dasha, I love her, did a remarkable job with designing it. They were impressed, and they were talking about, hey, we'd really like to do some of this and that with you. Well, I've got Arrow Wilson, my son-in-law. Guy's great. He makes things happen. And he's really good at what he does, and I have complete and utter faith in him. But nonetheless, it's nice to be contacted by people. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Does that have a like triple X on it anywhere for what's actually in the cup? The world will never know. It ain't nothing bad, trust me. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here right now talking about the Mountain Hootenannies or some shit like that. No, it's the Mountain Mysteries. Check out the website. If you got any questions, feel free to contact us. Contact us with blurs. For new people watching right now, what a blur is, it airs Sundays on Patreon. I take your stories about strange things that have happened to you. Maybe it's something spooky, ghostly, paranormal. It could be anything. It could be a Bigfoot story. It could be anything. As long as you write it and you say, hey, look, this is what happened to me, your game. And then what I would do is just shoot you an email back saying, hey, is it okay if I use this? And I'll give you credit or I'll leave it anonymous, however you want. Again, it's about getting the story out there, right? That's what I'm all about. That's what I'd love to do, especially for these people too. So, with this being said, yes, our little family always there for each other. We are, and that's just not Stacy and Sharon and Cody and Arrow and I, but it's also, I don't know, people like James Paul, Joseph, people like Amanda, people like Sharon and Tony, people like Cora, people like Marie, people like Mildred, Herbie, Tim Pennington. Love that old boy to death. Great guy. We're all family. And in the end, well, I guess that's what matters most. That's what you've got. It ain't the money, it ain't the cars. Money can make some problems go away, but it will never bring you happiness. Love will bring you happiness. Peace will bring you happiness. I hate to say this, but it's like, again, like my mom said, key to happiness ain't about having what you want. It's about wanting what you have. Told you I learned a lot from them. Podcast drops at midnight, guys. You'll be able to listen to it shortly thereafter, especially on Spotify. They get it real quick. And anytime tomorrow, this weekend, and don't forget Sunday, we got some new blurs coming for you on Patreon. Join our Patreon. We could sure use the help right now more than ever. It's not that things are getting a whole lot more expensive, a little bit here and there. They've upped the price on the video stream just a bit. Ain't nothing bad. But any support is appreciated. But the support I love the most is when you go out there and you tell people about it and they start listening. They start watching. Get it out there. I'd rather have that than anything else. So please help us with that. And let's remember these people. Let's get their names out there. Until the next time, for the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings, the Mountain Mysteries Blurs, and the Mountain Mysteries Podcast, I'm Chris Sloan. May God bless each and every one of you. And remember, your life matters. You are capable of great things. I love you all. May God bless you. Stay mysterious.
From one coast to the other, mysteries are everywhere, and we will continue to pursue the answers to those questions and more. Please share, like, and rate the Mountain Mysteries Podcast and tell your friends to tune in on Facebook or YouTube. The Mountain Mysteries Gatherings are each Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to support the Mountain Mysteries search and help these families, join us on Patreon, or you can make a one-time donation as well. The Mountain Mysteries and the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings are property of the Pantry Studios and Chris Sloan, who writes and produces the content. If you would like to reach out to the Mountain Mysteries, please email us at pantrystudio@yahoo.com. Until next time, my friends, stay mysterious.
Pantry Studio production.